Hell Is Us by Rogue Factor comes out in 2025. Another game coming in 2025. Dave, take it away.
Did I curse at all on this episode? I don't think I did I?
Yeah, you did. You did one word, I think.
Did I cursed on this one?
You said
Okay.
booty, if
I
that
want to
counts.
start off by saying that I am super excited for this game. I think it looks really, really fun and really, really incredible, and a game that I'm definitely interested in playing. And with that being said, I'm gonna shit on this pretty hard.
Oh, oh. Okay, good, because I don't have much on it, so I'll let you do that.
Take it away. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, if you guys are just listening, what we are looking at right now, this is kind of cool to me because this is gonna be like it kind of feels like this is gonna be a Souls like that has kind of merged together with like a survival horror
Mm-hmm,
almost.
mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot going on with the story. Basic story premise here is that the world has been ravaged by war and has been given rise to these supernatural demons, and your character, I don't think this story is going to be anything too crazy. Your character is going through this world and most likely just trying to push these demons back to wherever they've came from. Um, if you're just listening, this reminds me a lot of Lords of the Fallen. So I know people are saying that this is a Souls-like, but it 100% reminds me of Lords of the Fallen. And the reason why is just because of the animations that we're getting in the fighting style. Doesn't remind me so much of a Dark Souls. It just feels kind of slow, a little bit slower than you're typically used to. And we saw that a lot in Lords of the Fallen. And essentially you're armed with this drone and a sword. There's not really a lot going on here trailer wise, so I mean it's fine. It definitely looks like a game that I'm would be interested in. But when it really comes down to it, man, like I don't know, I feel like this game is just kind of like a hodgepodge of a lot of games thrown together, which is fine. It's okay. I'm excited to play it. I think it looks good, but yeah, essentially it's just like a lot of game elements from games that are already popular thrown into one.
It's funny that you mentioned that. There in the comments of the videos I watched, I liked the one that said Metal Gear Souls Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was funny, and I can definitely see that. And again, I pulled it up. Honestly, out of all the Souls likes we've talked about in the games, or if even if this is not a Souls like, games like this, like I honestly do not like the aesthetic of this one, to be honest. Like out of all the ones that we've watched, I think that like the enemy like spot from like the Spider-Man movie, the Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, like the Spot character, that's what these villains look like, and I don't think they're very cool looking. I think the animations of like the red ball that they control, like I thought that was kind of lame. I'm leaning to more lame with this one, to be honest. I think there's so many more Souls like that really stand out, and I don't even play them, but this one is not intriguing to me in terms of like aesthetically pleasing or anything.
I mean, I think you guys I don't know, I think you guys have to kind of look at it from this standpoint. Like Souls like is getting so big. Yeah, it's getting so broad that like we're almost kind of moving off the path now. Like Lords of the Fallen was Souls like, but it it from a combat standpoint, like I said, it was kind of slower and a little bit more meticulous, which is I don't know, like if you're a Dark Souls player, you're ridiculously meticulous, but it just if you played both games, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's just you want to be meticulous in Dark Souls, but fast. In Lords of the Fallen, it's almost impossible to be meticulous and fast because the game kind of forces you to slow down a little bit, and that's a lot what this game feels like it's doing. It's forcing me to slow down. So that kind of combat system really gives me elements of Lords of the Fallen. Now you also have we saw the cutscene of the drone following you around. This really reminds me of like Stellar Blade, which we just talked about, which we just played, that's the same kind of element of having that like Navi character kind of follow you around. Now, the one thing that really kind of sucks is they talked a lot about the sword and how important the sword is because the sword comes from a different world. Well, okay. What that means to me is there's no class system here. There's no builds here. You know what I mean? In Dark Souls and in Souls likes you can kind of build your classes and stuff like that. The importance of this sword tells me that there's probably only one way to play this game, which I think traditional Souls players and people that like Souls likes are not really gonna be love. They're not gonna be too happy about it. Now, I myself am a strength build all the time, so like just having a sword is fine for me. But for other Souls players who like to play different ways, I don't think you're gonna be able to build classes here. I think you just have to play the game as it comes. Um, and then if you look at their website, they're like, I don't want to throw shade on them, but it's kind of funny. If you look at their website, like, and like the blogs being written about this game and stuff like that, they are just like really leaning on this like no hand holding thing. And you're just like, it's just like, oh, we here wanted to totally get rid of what we call silver plating and just like giving the gamer everything that they need to make it through the game. So we're not going to do anything like quest markers or compasses, and there's going to be no maps. And I'm just like I'm reading this whole thing and just being like, yeah, Dark Souls. Like that's what Dark Souls is. The Dark Souls doesn't give you a freaking map and it literally just throws you into a game, and most likely it's gonna put an enemy 10 feet in front of your face that's gonna slaughter you in 2 seconds the first time you drop into the game. Like, yeah, that's Dark Souls. And it's like, oh, we wanted to like build this investigative map with lots of secrets and multiple winding paths that all lead into, all intertwine and connect. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yeah, it's fucking Dark Souls, dude. Like, what we get it, it's a Souls like why are you leaning on all of these elements that like have obviously been done before? Demon Souls came out in like 2006. Like, yeah, this is not a new concept to us. We get it. Like, you're not holding our hands. Like,
I don't know why they would kind of lean into that, but like I said, and like what you've been explaining, like there's no like wow factor to this game right now. Like it's a game that yeah, the setting's a little bit different than some of the other Dark Souls, but I could argue it's not at the same time because what's the Remnant 2? Isn't that kind of like brings the or like the shooting like electronics like isn't that in Remnant 2? And then this one isn't anything new. To me, honestly, I think that it's kind of boring. And like I don't even play these games. Granted that so people are gonna counter argue like you don't play these games, so how can you have an opinion? But like aesthetically, like it looks boring, and from what you explained, like it's nothing that's going to set. And we say this all the time, like no game has to set the standard, be the next big thing, but this just doesn't seem like it has anything really to be a wow factor for it.
yeah, I mean, like I said, guys, like I'm excited. I'm just excited when you get any Souls like, right? So I'm excited to play the game. I'm gonna play the game, and then but like I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like I crapped on it a little bit, and I crapped on it a little bit because I saw just the amount of views and like the amount of like I don't know, the amount of like hype that this game was getting, and I'm just like, I'm sitting here like, why? Like, you know what I mean? They're taking concepts that have been around forever and trying to twist it to the point of like, we made this our own thing. And it's like, dude, no, the fuck you didn't. Like, I've been playing games like this for 20 years. Like, why are you trying to make it like seem like this is some new concept that you came up with? Like, yeah, it's a Souls like. You're not supposed to hold our hands. You know what I mean? Like every Souls like I've ever played did it. Lord of the Fallen did it. Liza P did it. Remnant did. You just that's what it is. You get dropped in, you get no help, you get no direction. Just go and figure it out. And it's like, I don't know. The game the game looks okay, but I'm gonna be honest. If you guys see this, you need to stop leaning into that. Like you kind of made that your thing. That is not your thing. From Software and a bunch of studios have been doing that for like 20 years. So let's just kind of calm it down.
When was this
Like,
game announced?
just a couple days ago. Well, the announcement was like years ago.
See, and that's another thing. They announced this game years ago, and then they have this gameplay trailer that really didn't highlight good gameplay aspects of it. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't show big things that would be different in this game compared to other Souls likes and things of that nature. Like, you know what I mean? They just kind of leaned on the aesthetic of the game and not so much the gameplay.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, it's a Souls like, but it feels like a watered down Souls like. You know what I mean? It just feels like it's going to be lacking some elements that traditional Souls players are going to want, and they're instead just kind of leaning on the basics. They're like that that's it. That's exactly what it is. This game leaning on the basics, the bare minimum of Souls like, like qualities. And there's a lot of hype around the game, and like I'm kind of curious why. So if you guys haven't like I said, I'm sorry that I crapped on it a little bit, but I just want to know if you guys have any like insights or something that I'm missing here, or if you totally agree with me and you're like, I don't understand why they're kind of like hyping this up. Let me know down in the comments below because I'm super curious to hear it.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on it. So,
Yeah, I mean that's all I really got to say on it because it just kind of exploded. You know what I mean? Like that trailer dropped a couple days ago and people were super super hyped, and I was like, "Let's go, new Souls!" Like, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this being announced like 2 years ago," and then I kind of like did some deep diving on it, and I was like, "This does it." Like I'm excited. I'm excited for it because it's a Souls like, but I'm like, this is kind of like the bare minimum of what I would expect from a Souls like. Yeah. So let us know down in the comments below if you are super excited for this one or if you're kind of on our side and you're just like, I don't get it.